Hello everyone, welcome to my channel .js. Today we are going to see about SolidJS primitives. Now this video is part of the SolidJS series that I'm doing. So if you have not seen the introduction to SolidJS video, I would highly recommend you watch that before watching this one. Now let's get started. So SolidJS primitives are somewhat similar to React hooks, but they actually work slightly different from React hooks. So we will be building this Pokemon application to learn more about SolidJS primitives. So it's got search, it's got increase the power, and it's got also a load more feature, which kind of loads more Pokemons to this list. So let's now switch to the code and see what kind of primitives we are going to use for this application. So I've already created a solid app with the basic UI elements that we need for this application. I'm going to be using Tailwind, which I've already set up, and let's go ahead and create signals for the two input fields that we have here. So this is my app component. So I'm going to be creating signal called search, and then I'm going to say, yeah, this one is an empty string initially, and I'm gonna set this on the on input handler of this input field. So in SolidJS, an event is not a React synthetic event. It's actually a union of the actual element event plus the the TypeScript event. So I'm gonna say event.current target.value, and let's see if this actually works. So I'm just gonna create a small span here, and then I'm gonna say search off. Now let's see if we have it. Okay, Pokemon. There you go. So let's do the same thing for the power threshold. Just gonna get rid of this, copy paste, and then rename it to threshold. Okay, this one is not going to be a string, so I'm gonna make it a number. And then I'm gonna say on input. Okay, that's what we need. Okay, we need to pass this since the event value is pass this into a number since the event value is a string. Okay, this should work now. Okay, now we have the signals for our search input and power threshold input. So let's see if nothing weird happens. Okay, nice. So now let's go ahead and create our Pokemon resource to actually fetch some data from the Pokemon API. I'm going to be using an open source API called the Pokemon API, which is kind of free to use, and you can probably use it in your applications, example applications as well. So I'm going to do that now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to first create a new file. I'm going to keep it in my source directory. And it's going to be an async function. Yeah. And this does not require any arguments. I'll get there in a minute. And this function will basically fetch the Pokemon data from the API. Yeah. Okay. So now let's learn how to actually create a resource. So I'm gonna create a Pokemon resource using the create resource primitive from SolidJS. I'm gonna call it Pokemons, and then this will return a bunch of properties, which we'll get to in a minute. And I'm gonna be exporting the interface that I created and then the async function. Okay, get Pokemon. We should have called it get Pokemons, but it's fine. And this requires an initial value, and interestingly, create resource gives us back the actual data, and also a couple of other functions, which is mutate and refetch. So this is for actually refetching the data and also mutating the actual resource data. We're not going to use mutate, so I'm just going to use refetch later. Probably TypeScript is complaining because it's not returning anything. So yeah, I'm just going to return as Pokemon. Okay, cool. Now we need to go ahead and create the Pokemon list from the API. I've already added the logic to get the data from the API. So what it is going to do is it's gonna get this data from the Pokemon API, which is basically a list of Pokemon names and URLs. And this internally is going to fetch each Pokemon data individually. So this is what it's gonna do. So now if we return this, we should already have the Pokemon data here, and we can already start using it. So I'm gonna give this as my property to the each of the for component, and then I'm gonna first display the name. Let's see if this works. There you go. We got our Pokemons. Now let's also go ahead and display the other things. I think I'm gonna start typing the interface now, because otherwise it might get a little tedious. So let's go ahead and define our types, string, and we need abilities, which is an array of name. This is what we need. This is of type string again, and we will be also using the height, and then power is something that we will calculate later. Okay, cool. So this is the interface, and this, oh, okay, let's also give it a URL just to make TypeScript happy. Yeah, cool. So now I think we can go ahead and start using the interface. Let's see if this actually works. Yeah, cool. Okay, let's now start displaying the abilities. So again, I'm gonna be using a nested for here inside the table data. Now this is going to take Pokemon.abilities, and then iterate it over it. I think we can do a span here, and then say ability of name. Quick check. No, it didn't work. I think we might be doing something wrong here. Abilities is in a list, and then inside you have the ability, which is okay. So let's fix this type here. So ability is the actual object which has the name. Okay, cool. And now I think we can fix this here. So this is an ability. Okay, let's do a check. Ah, we got it. It's not looking good, but yeah, it's okay. I think we can live with this broken style here. So now we have the abilities. Let's go ahead and also show the height, which is going to be easy. Pokemon.height, and then power, we'll get to that. Okay, now I think we have the mechanism to load 10 Pokemons, show their name, abilities, and height. What we are going to do is we are now going to use a primitive called create memo. Create memo is something like use memo in React. You can think of it as use memo, but it works slightly different. Almost all the primitives in SolidJS works different. Uh, we will see how different it is. So what I'm gonna do is for this I'm gonna be using the threshold. So I'm gonna create a list of powers here. And then I would say, I think we don't need this. Pokemons dot, okay, reduce the accumulator of Pokemon. And then this returns an empty array. I'm gonna use the height of the Pokemon and multiply it by the threshold. One too many. Okay. This is a number. Okay. Now we can go ahead and actually use this power. So I'm going to be using the index of the list here just to, make sure that we don't need to create another set of data for this. So powers of, index of. Cool. I think we might get a NaN here because this could be null. So, or could it be? No, I don't think so. Okay. Cool. Okay, there you go. We got power 0, which is the initial power, and now you can see as I increase the threshold, the power also changes accordingly. So this is the benefit of using create memo, which you can use to compute some kind of computer data. So in this case, I'm computing the power based on the height and threshold. The threshold being a signal and the Pokemon itself being a resource, which is again from another hook, another primitive. So as you can see, I don't need to pass any dependencies here. You can just use them on the fly. So it's kind of a subscription mechanism that's going on here, wherever you use the signals, read the signals, the primitives actually get updated. Okay, now we have the power. Let's go ahead and do our search functionality. Okay, what I'm gonna do now is, for search, I think we don't have an API. So what I will be doing is I'll be just doing a kind of a naive front-end search here. For that, I'm gonna use a special component called show from solid. So what this does, show actually takes a property. I think this must be, yeah, must be inside. Okay, called, it takes a property called win. And here you have access to the Pokemon. Let's do a lowercase. And then say includes of search of. So what this does is it's going to show the component or render the component only when the condition actually passes. So this is again a more declarative way in SolidJS of writing ifs and elses, which is kind of nice. So let's see if this works. Yeah, there you go, it works. Okay, we have, yeah, cool. Okay, now we have ultimately used both the signals that we created to our benefit. Now let's go ahead and add one more functionality to this feature, which is going to be the load more. So for implementing the load more functionality, we might have to tweak the resource a little bit. So what I would do is I would create an async function here and then avoid the get Pokemon. I'm gonna pass something called offset off. This is a signal which we will create. Um, I've already created the constant here just to say from which offset it has to start searching from, kind of load from. Okay, so initially it is 0, and then this function does not have the ability yet. So I'll go ahead and do that. It's a number. And now I think we can pass this offset to the API. Okay, cool. Okay, so now first let's try this out before we do anything. Okay. Well, something is not right here. We have too many data. Oh wow, we are fetching 100 Pokemon data. I think we made a mistake somewhere. Let's quickly check what is going on. Um, okay. We are missing an ampersand here. Okay. Now I guess we should be getting only 10 data. There you go. And we forgot to actually pass the offset. Okay. So we have the offset and then we load only 10 for initially. So let's quickly go and create our load more function. And what this will do, I think this is going to do something. I mean, Copilot is already suggesting it. This is going to do something which might be unusual if you are coming from a React background, because I'm setting an offset. Basically, I'm saying update my signal, and then I'm going to do a refetch. So let's attach this callback to the onClick. So I mean, if you have used usestate in your React applications, you obviously know this cannot guarantee synchronous state updates. But let's see if this works in Solid. I'm just gonna close this. We haven't actually added a caching mechanism, which we will go and do it. It does work. So what I've done here, I've basically set an offset to the previous offset and adding 10 to it, and then refetching the data again. So this is actually working. So our signal is also getting kind of updated here, and then the Pokemon API is called again. Now what we need to do is I'll just go ahead and quickly cache the Pokemons. Pokemon's cache, which is an empty list. Pokemon. And let's create it. Okay, there you go. That's what I need. Now wait here. Okay. Okay, there you go. Now we have the feature to fetch 10 Pokemons per fetch. Let's see if the search works. Yes, it does. Power, it does. Also, at some point, we are going to see some results, even though the search string is actually still on. So this is the benefit of using signals and actually consuming them in any of the hooks we need, primitives we need. So yeah, I think we have finished our application here and also built all the features that we needed to build. Okay, we are getting an A in here, so let's quickly go ahead and fix that too before we wrap up. Threshold, okay. Oh, yeah, that ought to do it. Okay, guys, so we have finally finished the application and also learned about most of the SolidJS primitives, which are kind of essential for your applications. What we have not covered in this video is create effect, on mount, and on cleanup. I think these primitives are basic primitives which are similar to React use effect, and you can actually try them in your SolidJS applications. So yeah, I think we have come to the end of this video, and if you guys have any thoughts on SolidJS and if you have any feedback on this video, please do leave comments, and do not forget to like, share, and subscribe to my YouTube channel if you have not already subscribed. Until next time, it's me, Vijay, signing off.